Hey everyone, welcome back to the Automotive Flux channel, specifically automation. Today we're going to be changing the pace a little bit. I've been doing some fast cars recently, buses that do wheelies, F1 clones. We've got prototype cars with 10,000 horsepower and also record-breaking Dodgems, but today I am going to make a truck. If I sound unsure of myself, it's because I'm not totally sure what's going to happen, honestly. Today is going to be a weird day because I'm going to try to make a jelly car. Jelly car, at least by my definition, is. Actually, let's do a Jeep. It's been a while. But jelly car, at least by my definition, just means a car that is ridiculously soft with the suspension. So we're going to try and make this as soft as humanly possible. Soft tires, soft suspension, and maybe it'll still be decent off-road. I don't know. Let's give it a try. There's really only one way to find out, and that is to actually make the thing. Now, I'm not going to try and be too realistic with this. We're just going to go for some basic materials and hope that it ends up being decent. Suspension is pretty important. Let's go coils on the front and on the back. That'll hopefully give it some good off-road prowess. Engine doesn't matter for this challenge very much. I basically just need to make something that works, which honestly is sometimes a challenge for me because I tend to make very broken vehicles, but let's just make an inline four. I know that that's a mistake generally when it comes to Jeeps. You don't want a four-cylinder Jeep, but I don't know. I just want to mess around. So I'm going to go with a 3-liter pushrod inline 4, and we are going to turbo it because I like turbos, and I think that'll be more fun. I want to try and make a boatload of torque here. Pushrod turbo, maybe not the best combination unless you're an LS fan, but it's going to be fine for this. So I'm going for just direct injection per cylinder, like a very, very basic, but very, I guess the word is utilitarian. I'm trying to say it's robust, but it serves its purpose is what it's supposed to do. Let's go maybe short cast headers so we have a little bit of breathing room. 2-inch exhaust is probably a bit fine. And then I don't know about this stuff. Generally, I just don't put any mufflers on anything because it makes it louder. But let's do a high flow 3-way catalytic converter just for that one comment I got in the last video. Engine is knocking. That's unfortunate. The crank is breaking as well, so that's also unfortunate. Evidently, the parts that I picked for this are not. Wow. Apparently, nothing is ideal. Let me fix the knocking first. Oh, that's why. Okay, so the RPM limit was way too high, and the thing actually makes 296 horsepower at 4,500 RPM. It makes way more power than I was anticipating, and that's without any issues. I'm going to start turning this stuff down until it comes into some problems. So I'm going to artificially limit the horsepower to 220. I've barely tweaked this engine at all, but it kind of, I don't know, it's working out fairly easily here. I haven't had to do much. Obviously, I could get more power just by turning up the boost and turning up the fuel system, but this is not a max power build. It's just got to be enough to get us moving, and I think this does pretty much exactly that. So with some good gears, this should make us move along just fine. And there we go, very basic engine. It did end up adding an intercooler, but it's a good size, so can't complain about that. Small turbo, inline 4, 3 liters, and 220 horsepower. Not bad. Okay, so I'm gonna make it a 4-door. I know a lot of people like 2-door Jeeps better. I personally am a 4-door kind of guy. This body, it almost looks like a Jimny more than it looks like a Jeep. It's definitely that sort of boxy style, but we only get so many of those types of cars here. Let's do a paint color of something bright, something interesting. There actually is a really cool Jeep color. It's on the most recent Jeeps that looks like this, and I really do like it. So let's go with that. Okay, let's come back to styling once I've got the wheels and stuff sorted. Basically, we're going 4-wheel drive, manual transmission. Let's do a 6-speed. That should be decent enough. We don't always have to go for 7, as much as I like to do that. We're going for a manual locker because off-road, and radials with the chunky off-road tires. Looking pretty good, actually. I'm not familiar with what the stock Jeeps come with these days in terms of wheel size, but I'm going to do maybe like 285 on the front and the back. That seems like a decent width and then obviously we'll give it a bit of a pop as well, so it looks a little more aggressive. It makes a huge difference in the stance. Like, just look at that. 18-inch rims, that's not huge for a truck, but it'll be perfect for our off-roader. And I'm going to make these tires quite a bit bigger because off-road. There we go, 950. That is a pretty decent stance, actually. I'm a fan. Okay, I've skipped my way over to suspension because this is kind of important. Let's do gas monotube suspension with passive sway bars. Actually, off-road sway bars probably makes more sense, and it's actually somewhat drivable. Oh, would you look at that? So the softest preset that you can use is the comfort preset right out of the gate, and yeah, it's definitely going to be cushy with that, but we may as well make things much worse. First of all, ride height needs to go up because off-road, we want to have some good angles with the front and the back. 580 mils actually does seem pretty good there, so yeah, that's going to stay. And now we need to ignore this curve entirely and just make it basically as soft as humanly possible. Now, as I understand this suspension tuning thing, which admittedly I don't, basically, if I have it set to off-road per se, the springs are going to be a low number, same thing on the front and the back with the dampers, and then you go to race and they're a high number. So just from that sort of reasoning, it makes sense to lower these down as much as possible. And I realize that this is going to destroy the drivability and it's going to destroy the suspension as a whole, but why not? We're going all the way down and we'll see what happens. I'm kind of curious to see if what's going to happen here is the body just sags immediately because the suspension is too soft to actually hold up the body. I'm very curious. So yeah, that's going to be our suspension setup. Let's get into the actual design of the thing, and then we'll try it out in BeamNG. That's the part I'm most looking forward to. I just noticed here that the car is bottoming out a lot, which is going to be very interesting to see. All this stuff that it's warning about is basically just to do with the suspension. I've never made a car like this, so this is going to be a first. Also, the brakes are ridiculously weak, so I'm tuning them up because otherwise we wouldn't be able to stop. Kind of important that we're able to at least marginally stop. Okay, let's do some fixtures. I don't have a design in mind for this, so I'm just going to start slapping and see what happens. That's basically what I do most of the time though, so wish me luck. One of my dreams is to restore a classic car, and by restore I don't necessarily mean go over it every painstaking small detail and make it perfect. I kind of more mean just do the drivetrain and then leave the body the way it is. That's sort of my style. To give you an idea of what I'm talking about, I've been looking at an older car just out of curiosity, basically, because there's no chance my wife is going to let me buy anything else this year after buying that truck. But I've been looking at this car and I'm like, it's an old Chevy sedan. I think it's like a Chevy 210 or something like that. So a smaller sedan. It's pretty much worthless. It has not that big of a community. The coupe is the one that people want, generally speaking. So it's not exactly a rare vehicle. It's one that I don't think people would be too mad at me if I messed with, is what I'm trying to say. And it just so happens to not have an engine. So what if I was to buy something like that, again, can't be that, and then drop a turbo 4-cylinder in there from a Hyundai? Who would be pissed? Please be honest. That would be the initial first step, assuming that it would even move properly under that new power. But like that kind of car back in the day didn't come with very much power to begin with. It was a slow car from the factory, so having 150 horsepower, okay, be a bit more than that, more like 200 horsepower 4-cylinder is gonna still be an upgrade, is what I'm trying to say there. So just picture that. Body is completely stock. Obviously the drivetrain would have to be gone through. It would still be rear wheel drive, but just picture a stock ride height classic pulling up to a light, and then you don't hear the rumble of a V8. Instead, it's a turbo 4-cylinder. I don't know. There's something about that just makes me very happy. Oh yeah, front end looking interesting. I've gone for a bit of a unique design, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. But I just wanted to try something new and also make you scream on the inside asking me to change it, but I will not. Let there be a ridiculous amount of light. This is the brightest shining star that I've ever seen, and it's pretty darn bad. So, yes, please deal with it. I don't know, lately my designs have been all over the place. This is no exception, and I'm gonna leave it because it actually doesn't look bad from a distance once you forget that those are lights and it has 4 of them. So yeah, regarding my previous idea that I told you about, that's not gonna happen anytime soon, so don't get your hopes up. But that is the dream, the real dream. I like my Tibron, it's a fine car, but I do wish to do something crazy. I'm reinforcing the idea that this thing needs more lights, and I've added more lights. Don't worry about it. And because it's turbocharged, I've added a vent, and I'm putting a intercooler behind it so that it actually looks like it's doing something. I mean, does this make any real practical sense? No, because the intercooler would be in the bumper, but it looks cool. Man, I wish we could cut the doors off this thing. That would make it even cooler, but I don't think I have time. Let's just, oh, prop tires. That could be cool. Those are actual BF Goodrich tires. We could make a little roof rack and stuff for this. Okay, maybe a little bit too far, but let's do it. Oh yeah, we do have winches as well, and I guess that would make more sense to have a winch behind the thing. Fine. I'm just gonna put the intercooler further back and we'll put the winch in front of it because I like making cars that make complete possible sense. You know what, let's just let that thing in there be our little hidden secret and just pretend that it's not there. Right, onto the back. Exhaust is important, and I'm glad that somebody went to the trouble of adding some exhaust that just kind of sweeps to the side into this game, so I appreciate it. Look at that, it's perfect. You just notice it on most vehicles, it just comes out the side at some point, so even if you don't have mods, you have the option. You know, I actually do like Jeeps quite a bit. I have an RC Jeep Wrangler that I had bought actually before I bought any cars. And that was my go-to, I guess, thing to mess with before I bought my first car, which was a Subaru. There was a long time there where I wanted to get a Jeep, and I have a Dodge Ram pickup truck. I made a video about it a couple weeks ago, but when I was buying that, I was like, man, Jeeps are looking pretty good right now. Yeah, they're just too much money. I mean, in the grand reality of it, there are a lot of different cars, and there are a lot of different options, and that in itself is a good thing, because that means we all can find something we enjoy. So don't criticize too much when somebody tells you they like a car that you don't like. That's kind of my point here. Unless it's a BMW. BMWs suck. I think I've missed a fuel cap on like basically every vehicle I've made in the past couple months, probably more than that, but I'm just gonna slip one on here just real quick, you know what I mean, and then it's sorted. It honestly used to be a bit of a problem because I would miss fuel caps and stuff, and then people would comment like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you did put a fuel cap on. I'd be like, no, I missed it again. The endless cycle continues. Okay, so this Jeep creation thing is actually looking pretty good so far. The rear is pretty underwhelming. I'm just going to add a little bit more detail. Then we're going to do that quick roof rack that I talked about, and I'm going to slap this thing into BeamNG, so be right back. Also, I just realized I can widen the fenders, so I'm doing that just a little bit because I want more width. Okay, so I didn't end up going with a full, like, kitted out roof rack. I just made my own sort of roof bars. Well, I didn't make them, but I just used some from here. And then I think the only thing I'm missing is wipers, and we're good to go. Okay, we officially have a Jeep soft rotor, as I'm calling it. I'm just going to run through everything one more time, and we'll make sure that we're set. So it's actually not very fast. 200 kilometers an hour is the best it can do. Realistically speaking, that's good enough, but no wheel spin issues to speak of. Everything actually looks fine here. Everything looks good here. I basically just gave it some bits and pieces to make it a little more realistic. I guess if it's too heavy, I mean, it is pretty heavy. I can try and lower it. 230 horses, 2,400 kilos. It's not amazing, but I think it'll work fine. This engine kind of simulates a diesel a little bit, very low revving, but decent torque. So I'm hopeful that with the proper gears that I have, this thing will rip pretty hard. Also, I did put a trailer hitch on it, and yeah, I never changed the rims because they're perfect. All right, BeamNG we go. All right, everybody, say it with me now. Please work in BeamNG. So far, so good. It loads in, which is a good start, and it seems to be really, really soft. The engine revs and the body moves on the suspension, which is very exciting. So I'm here at the Grid Map V2. I always come here. I mean, this is probably my favorite map other than the West Coast. This one is just excellent. So I'm going to turn off traction control. I'm going to leave it in high, and actually, let's just go two-wheel drive. First gear. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's about as soft as I'd hoped it was. Oh my goodness. So let's just try some of the suspension test stuff at speed and see what it does. You know, it's actually, wow, it's extremely soft. The body roll on this thing is shockingly high, but I guess that is what you can expect. You know, I didn't expect it to actually be this rough. I really thought that automation wouldn't let me get this soft, but apparently not. The wheels are just bouncing off the obstacles here. This is turning out better than I had hoped. Okay, let's do a launch. If I can get the thing settled. If you're sitting in this, it would be like being in a bouncy house, right? Big turbo spin up, and then we basically just take off. The front wheels are, well, the front suspension is like jacked all the way up, and the rear is jacked all the way down. Let's just try it really quick on the drag strip, and I'm gonna do it in four-wheel drive this time to see if that makes any difference with our sagging. Okay, first gear once again. And nice soft braking there. I'm going to try to brake before we hit the end of this, by the way. Up high in the RPMs, drop the brakes and the clutch at the same time. And I should probably learn how to shift. But yeah, it basically just does exactly as you would expect it to. The suspension at the back is entirely bottomed out, but it's working really well. I'm going to downshift here and also force it to go all the way to the ground. Oh my goodness. So the trailer hitch looks really, really small. I probably should have made it a bit bigger, but I do want to try it out and just see how it goes. Having a trailer on the back of this, that's the reason that I put that on. Obviously, it's a trailer hitch, but with the back suspension being permanently bottomed out, I do want to see what it's like on the front end with something that's keeping it there. May as well just go for a top speed run here in four-wheel drive still. I wonder, can we turn that off at speed? Yes. 130, it's not very quick. We still have 2 more gears left. I gave this thing extremely short gears because I wanted it to be able to climb stuff with torque, and obviously it not having that much power kind of inhibits that in some ways, but we may as well give it a shot. I mean, the obstacles for off-road are around here. And then we'll have to go to an actual off-road park on one of these maps. Okay, this is the off-road section here. We got some basic dips and bumps and stuff that we can run through. First gear in this basically goes to 40 kilometers an hour, which is actually kind of realistic. But it's not that bad. I mean, it's bouncing like crazy, but it's not too bad off-road. I'll just stick it out in second and power my way through these obstacles, but I don't think we're going to come across a challenge, at least in these first few things, that's going to mess with it too much. Maybe this, though. It is a little bit top-heavy. Oh, no, we're good. See, these corners and stuff are really cool because they, if you're creative enough, can form into a track where you have to run across some pretty interesting obstacles to get through, including all of this. I do want to try something out that is a bit more difficult. This stage here, you can see the difficulty meter on the ground. This one is sort of maybe 3/4, something like that. I'm gonna drop it into low range, and we'll stick it out in four-wheel drive as well. Starting in first gear, let's go for a bit of a rip. Clutch temperature probably going to get exceeded, but hopefully with four-wheel drive and low range we can just power our way through this. No problem at all, actually. Okay, due to my ridiculously terrible driving skills, I almost rolled it over around that piece there. But coming up to this thing, do we have enough torque to make it up? Yes, sir, we do. No problem at all. Easy. Okay, let's go for the tough stuff. Okay, maybe this is going to be a bit more of a challenge. Thankfully, we do kind of squeeze into the side a little bit there. But if I try and take that rock, I think there would be a bit of a different story. The torque on this thing is actually incredible, despite it not having that much power, and it's useful. Like it's useful power too. The theme of the suspension being extremely soft has... Oh, I just stalled it. Come on now. Oh, this might need low range. Yeah, low range has this one in the bag. Easy peasy. But the theme of this thing being ridiculously soft has carried through the suspension, but I wonder, what about tires? Let's lower that tire pressure down all the way. So if you're not aware, you can configure vehicles in this game, and also you can do some fun stuff with that, including the gearing, which we can change now in BeamNG, which is really cool, and all of this extra stuff, which we weren't able to do before. I'm going to turn this down to 10. Oh, clicked enter a little bit too early there, but I'm going to turn it down to 10 PSI in the front and the back. Low PSI should give us better grip off-road, and it'll also make our tires sag a little bit more, which is fun. I'm wondering, we have some advanced settings here we can mess with, a lot of stuff. Oh, what? Suspension offset? What is this going to do? Okay, it just breaks it. I mean, I guess that is to be expected. And just because I like you guys, I'm going to spawn a trailer that's semi-stuck at the moment, but with this, we should be able to pull it out. Torque is available and hopefully usable. Let's just hook up the trailer real quick, and then go for a little bit of an adventure. Oh yeah, back her in, come on. Just a little bit more. A lot easier than real life, I'll tell you that. Oh. And we got it. Okay, into first. And she's out. Oh no. Okay, so I'm accelerating, so maybe it isn't quite fair. But the suspension on the back, just when you're sitting still in neutral, parking brake on, completely crushed. It cannot take any more weight on the tongue. So let's see what this does to the performance off-road. Alright, something easy is preferable, but it's gonna be slow, let me tell you that. Okay, I've come upon these small tube obstacles. I kind of figure we can probably do something with this. Just a little bit of bouncing here and there. The trailer doesn't have much suspension, but it does basically just bounce everywhere. It seems to be extremely firm, if nothing else, and it just broke off and it tipped over. That was extremely short-lived. This is what trucks look like on the highway these days. Like, I saw one today that was pulling a trailer, maybe a little bit heavier than it should have been, and the thing was like this, just rock solid on the back, front in the air. Kind of embarrassing, but I guess that's what you do when you tow with a light-duty truck. Okay, I'm going to take on some of the obstacles that I took on initially to see if I can do it with this, and hopefully it doesn't become unhitched immediately. I want to see that suspension wobble. This is just a pathway, basically, nothing too intense, but not bad. I mean, we do get a little bit of travel out of the back still. You can see that the trailer hitch has glitched itself significantly. Let's see what happens when we go over something a little bit more complex, at speed as well. You know, actually not bad. Not bad at all. I basically want to fling this trailer off. Not that way. Puzzle solving now. The trailer is stuck, at least partially. I'm going low range. Maybe just pulling it out with brute force will work. Yes, it will. Yes, sir, it will. Alright, let's attempt something difficult because I like difficulty. And then, I don't know, a real off-road route maybe? Just quickly. Okay, we're going low range. I'm locking the diffs, and we're in four-wheel drive. basically giving myself the most advantage that I can. And wow, okay, the torque in low range is pretty incredible. Oh, come on. Yes, easy. Okay, no problem at all there. No problem. I thought that was going to be well worse than it was. But now we have to tow the camper van with it on its side, and still, no issues. Okay, maybe a few issues. I'm going to call that one a resounding success. No problems at all. Okay, the wheel came off, but we're driving on 3 with a trailer on the back. I'm gonna consider this to be a very, very successful run. All right, so we're on Hirochi Raceway's rock crawling course, and immediately I'm having issues with the ESC, so let's turn that off. Yeah, the raceway is right there, and the rock crawling course is over here. We're in 4-wheel drive, so we shouldn't have too much trouble with this. But I'm going to try to avoid doing low range or anything. We could actually do the missions and time trials and stuff, but I'm just going to freehand this boy, and we'll see what comes out of it. I mean, super soft suspension, but this thing has all the things that it needs to get good speed out of these crawls. Obviously, I could actually crawl them, but I just figure it's more fun to go fast. And so far, on a real trail, it's not... Oh, okay, never mind. Alright, taking her slow this time. Let's go. First gear, just nice and easy. Bodywork is crying right now. Everything is crying right now. Down is not the hard part. Up definitely is. Okay, I'm struggling a little bit. I need to lock my front and rear diff for sure. And I probably need to go into low range as well. Oh man. Yeah, low range is the savior of this one. And also, revving the engine way too high is helping. It definitely. Okay, that wasn't too bad. There's a lot more to this course, so I'm scared, but let's keep going. Let's try. Okay. That was a bit of a low rock. Or the suspension bottomed out at the absolute worst time. Okay, here we go. A real challenge. This is going to basically separate the boys from the men is what I'm attempting to say. And I am a man. All right, let's do it. Crawling through this. Actually, oh no, never mind. I'm gonna be brutally stuck in the next 2 to 5 milliseconds. Oh, come on. Good ground clearance, soft tires. Not bad, not bad. We can always air down too. I don't think I've done that in this map. Oh, I almost flipped it. If you don't care about bodywork, then I'm your guy for off-roading. There it is. Easy. Okay. That was a lot less bad than I thought it would be. Okay, this is a really cool obstacle. I just kind of want to see what these pipes are like. An actual turbocharged engine in off-roading like this would be overheated so quick with my pedal action here. Oh, the pipes are giving us a beating. My method basically is just like gun it until you get over the obstacle. No mechanical mercy at all. But I've played enough SnowRunner to know that all you gotta do is just pick the right line, basically. And no, I'm not going to... You know what? There's a challenge, okay? We're taking it. If I see a challenge, it's gotta be done. And this looks like a challenge. This will be our final summit of the day. Let's do it. Come on now. Low and slow. Everything engaged. No problem at all. Absolute beefy wheels and suspension, despite how soft it is, has carried us through. So I think one of our front suspension on one side seems to have collapsed, but this is a pretty decent off-roader overall, and it's a lot of fun in this game. Feel free to copy my builds, by the way, I don't mind. But hey, if you're enjoying this one, be sure to give it a like. I'll see you again next week for some more videos like this. And soon, oh my goodness, our tires are deflated. This is much worse than I thought. But soon, I'll be making better cars, hopefully. This one is questionable in every aspect. But hey, it's fun, and that's really all that matters. I'll see you guys again next time. I just want to give a special shout out to those who have chosen to support this channel, specifically the advanced supporters from the join button members. We have Overlord, QT Bear, Terrio1, J Pope, Davis Heister, The German Dude, Nat64, Sinlab, Goofy Plays, Badger, Phoenix Shark, Baja Blast, and potentially you. Join up for $5 a month and you'll get your name on this list. But yeah, I'll see you guys again soon.